Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to tell you why I eat a plant-based diet. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, check out some of my free resources below. So why do I eat a plant-based diet? I eat a plant-based diet for several reasons that I'm going to explain in this video. So why do I eat a plant-based diet? There's several reasons, and the first one is just a natural preference. I naturally gravitate towards high-carb diets. I prefer endurance sports, and I naturally eat a high-carb diet. That's what I like. I like grains, I like pasta, I like fruits, vegetables, beans, rice, all of that. It doesn't mean that I don't eat protein and fat, but I gravitate away from meat. I don't crave meat. I don't really want it. I don't like mayo. I don't like cheese. I don't like cream. So that's my natural predilection, and you need to identify what your natural predilection is too. Like, what do you naturally gravitate towards? Most people aren't going to naturally gravitate towards a high carb diet necessarily. I eat 60 to 70% carbs. I think most people are going to settle between 45 and 55%. If you haven't already, check out my previous video on best macros for ED recovery. Okay, the second reason why is selection. So I just went to Whole Foods here. So I got my bag. So I've got some stuff in there. What do I got? I got some rolled oats, okay? I've got some sprouted bread. I've got some whole 2 pounds of baby carrots, okay? Yeah, I know it's kind of expensive to go to Whole Foods to buy this stuff. You can buy that stuff anywhere, but I like Whole Foods. I'm a former employee. I like the company. I like the owner. So yes, I know it's kind of expensive. It's kind of a bougie thing to do, but I like Whole Foods. Anyway, I like the selection. I can find carbs anywhere. I can go to the cereal aisle, I can go to the frozen aisle, I can go to the bread section, I can go to the salad bar, which is closed right now for infection control. I can go buy some protein bars, I can go to the produce. The whole store is open to me, except maybe the seafood section. But I do eat some seafood, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. But there's just a lot of selection. There's a lot of variety. You can eat almost anything on a high carb diet. Whereas if you eat a high fat, high protein diet, it's really limited. You have avocados, nuts, some fats like dairy and meat, but that's it. It's really limited. So that's why I think it's so much easier to eat a high carb diet. The third reason is it's cheap. When I was in grad school, I wasn't making a lot of money, so I ate relatively cheap. So I had my oats, my energy bars, a lot of binge food, of course, but you can eat cheap when you eat a lot of carbs, even if you are binging. You're gonna spend more if you're binging, but that's a different story. But if you eat healthy carbs, it's cheap. You can go to the bulk section, you can buy buckwheat and rice and nuts, and which are high in fat, but you can buy a lot of carbs for not a lot of money. I can get 2 pounds of rice for, I don't know, $2.50. Even at a store like Whole Foods, I can still get it for a cheap price. So it doesn't break the bank. If you eat a high fat, high protein diet, you're gonna be spending a lot of money, because some of these grass-fed products are like $15 a pound. Sockeye salmon is $22 a pound. Do you really want to be eating that much? So if you're eating a lot of fat, a lot of protein, not only are your options limited, but you're going to be spending more. The third reason is convenience. I can eat carbs wherever I go. I don't have to prepare them. I can prepare carbs if I want, like the rolled oats. Probably going to sit down and have that at home. If I have rice, probably at home. But then I can have energy bars, I can have fruit, I can have bread, I can have tortillas, whole grain. There's so many options, whether you're at home or on the go, or if you're at a restaurant. Now, most restaurants are going to have some sort of animal-based product in every dish. Okay, it's going to be chicken, it's going to be beef, it's going to be pork. One of those. At some restaurants it's hard to not eat meat, but it's not impossible. But even if you go to Red Robin or something, you can have fries, and you can have, I don't know, I'm trying to think. They probably have some sort of Impossible Burger at this point. My point is, it's easy to find carbs, and you're never going to have a bad selection. It's always convenient to eat them. Now that can backfire, because then you can have a lot of processed carbs. You can have Lucky Charms and corn pops and ice cream, which is also high in fat. But you can also have Skittles and Starburst. So there are a lot of convenient carbs that are not necessarily good carbs. But usually convenient carbs are mixed with fats. Most processed foods are a combination of fat and starch, or fat and sugar, if you haven't already noticed. So you want to prefer the whole grains versus the processed grains, although not always. If you are about to run or go on a workout, then you should probably prioritize simple carbs. Or if you have some digestive issues, go for the non-whole grains, go for the processed carbs, eat the white bagel. because it's going to be easier to process because it doesn't have as much fiber. So it's all individual. There's no such thing as bad carbs and good carbs. There's less preferred and more preferred carbs. You should eat more stuff like quinoa, which is high in carbs, technically a seed, not necessarily a grain, but we treat it like a grain, versus say white rice. But a lot of people in Asia eat white rice, and it's sticky and it combines well. So even then, that's not a hard and fast rule. But if you're gonna buy a bread, get something that I got, like a sprouted whole grain versus Wonder Bread. Okay, so there's a whole spectrum. There's less preferred, there's more preferred. So eat the stuff that has a lot of whole grains, vitamins, minerals. Whole grains are an essential component of my diet and most people's diet, so don't neglect them. One more note about fast carbs versus slow carbs. Slow carbs are stuff that have a lot of fibers, like beans. That's a slow carb. So if you want to feel fuller longer, go for the slow carbs. If you need something that burns now, have some fast carbs. So if I'm about to run, I'm gonna have something like a bagel or maybe some white rice, because it burns fast, it burns clean, it won't give me any digestive issues. If I want something that's going to satisfy me, but it's gonna take a while to digest, I don't want that in my system while I run. To be honest, I almost never eat before I work out. So that's never a problem. I like to run in a fasted state when I'm empty, and it's just easier to do it that way. My last note is longevity. If you look at the longest living people in the world, you go to Sardinia, Orange County, California, where you find a lot of Seventh-day Adventists. There's some place, Costa Rica, Okinawa, these people eat plant-based diets. However, they don't eat 100% plant-based diets. When they have access to it, well, I should say the Seventh-day Adventists, they don't eat meat. I think they eat dairy, but not meat, so they're not completely vegan. But most people in the world who live long, they eat plant-based diets, but they're not necessarily vegan. And that's why I'm 95% vegan, because I allow myself to eat stuff that has a little bit of milk, some dairy products, and I eat the occasional piece of fish and meat, but it needs to be high quality. So if I'm gonna eat fish, it's gonna be, sockeye salmon, because I'm getting the most benefits. It's not gonna be tilapia or halibut or some white fish. It's just protein. I can get my protein from somewhere else. I don't need to eat a piece of white fish. But if my mom makes me cookies, I'm gonna have them. Or if one of my patients makes me something, I'm gonna have it. Okay, and I know it's not vegan. It has butter, it has milk, it probably has a couple eggs in there. So what? That's why I say 95% vegan. That 5% adds so much flexibility to my diet. And I don't have to worry, oh, is this vegan or not? I don't have to care, because that's my 5%. And I give that self. I don't care, because that's my 5%, and I give myself that 5% for a reason. What are some other reasons to eat a plant-based diet? Let me know in the comments below. Will a plant-based diet necessarily help you recover from an ED or an eating disorder? Not necessarily, because you need to control quantity before quality. And this is what I mean. You need to be able to control 2 hands in your mouth before you choose what diet you're going on. So you can choose whatever diet you want, but it's not necessarily going to control the portions. And right now, if you're a binge eater, night eater, bulimic, whatever, you can eat really processed vegan food, but you're still not healthy. You can eat really processed keto food. You're not really healthy. Quantity before quality. So once you control your habits, once you control your hands, you can choose any diet that you want. Hope you found this video educational and entertaining. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out my free resources below. Man, it is getting hot in here.